You heard the argument for years that salespeople may not necessarily be needed anymore because of AI. Now, we don't believe that to be 100% true. However, you're still replaceable. I mean, someone else can take your job. And in this era where we're finding that people are switching roles and going to different companies, and if you're not quite making it, it's not too difficult to let you go. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can make sure you are irreplaceable in your organization as well as with your prospects. Money in the bank. Hey everyone, welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have Chris Morrison. Now, Chris Morrison is coming to me, man, from way down the land under. Did I say that right? Way down from the land under, from Sydney, Australia. And on today's episode, Chris is going to talk about his strategy. Now, he runs an organization where he coaches and works with agencies and helps them to improve and increase their sales. Now, one of the things that Chris has come to realize is this principle of trust and how trust not only helps you within your organization to make you irreplaceable, but also with your prospects. There are several things that he's going to talk about, but this principle of the trust-based pipeline system is absolutely important. He's going to share some more concepts that can help you to make sure you maintain relationship with people, even if they're not ready to buy now. Chris is also going to share some ideas about the trust-based pipeline system and how this is not only going to help you to be successful within your organization, but also with your prospect from now and for all eternity. Amazing stuff. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, go ahead and hit subscribe for me. You can do it right now. Yeah, thank you for doing that. Let's talk about this idea of making ourselves irreplaceable, though.
For sure.
Let's go back into the mindset of a sales rep, and why is this so important for me to be able to be irreplaceable in the first place?
I think the name itself sort of gives it away, right? But I would have to say, because I spent a long time as a sales rep myself too, and I think there's probably like 2 or 3 different categories of model of belief that sales reps might live in. There's ones that probably think that they're God's gift and that they could never get replaced. You're laughing because you know some of them right now. Then there's ones.
Stop talking about my friends, bro.
then there's ones who are probably like medium tier, and they get by. Every now and again they'll hit budget, and they'll have a hot streak, and they'll have a slow streak, and they're run of the mill. The company needs them because they still bring in the revenue, but they're never going to. When I say never, it's very rare that they become the top high performers more than anything else. But they're consistent, right? Like they're really consistent, and they bring in what they need to. Sometimes these guys are better than the top performers because the top performers can burn out pretty quickly as well. And then there's the people who they're in it, but they're not going to stay in it, in my mind's eye, right? And it's almost, and the category of belief behind that is like, they got into a selling position because they heard it was good, because they thought it would be easy, or because someone said give it a try, right? And I think that you can like ascend through each level, from average to good to great in sales. This is my personal belief anyway. But I think there's ways that you can do it to make it significantly easier for yourself so you don't actually have to be good at sales. And my personal belief behind this, again, comes back to you don't have to be the person who knows the best scripting, which is where I personally believe most people think they need to put most of their attention, right? Like scripting and doing all these things that make them feel like they can close anyone, which really isn't like, it's not true when you actually get to a long-term situation when you're really going deep into an industry or a vertical by any stretch of the imagination. It actually turns people away. It doesn't bring them in. And I've found that in order to make yourself irreplaceable, you just need to make yourself really known and have a little bit of trust and respect. And typically it comes through the vehicle of putting yourself in a position where you become the trusted advisor as opposed to the sales representative, if that makes sense, right? And I've found that the people who go from average to good to great are typically the ones that play the long game as opposed to being someone who is dedicated to making every month the best month ever. They're thinking long game and thinking about how long can I maintain a relationship for that brings like a significant amount of referrals more than anything else, and what can I do to nurture a relationship where this person I know isn't ready yet, but how can I prime them to be in a position where they can actually have no consideration for anyone else other than us when they are going to be ready to actually take on the service or software or whatever it might be that we actually do. And what is it that I would need to do in order to actually create something for me to be remembered by more than anything else? And there's two things that I think I want to touch on. The first being that...
Bro, let's do it.
The first being that you just alluded to someone sitting there saying that I don't want to waste time with people who aren't going to buy.
Yeah.
Definition of not going to buy being what? Not going to buy today, not going to buy this month, not going to buy this year, not going to buy ever, not going to buy because you're a shit sales rep, not going to buy because they don't like you, not going to buy because this isn't the exact solution for them, not going to buy because they didn't actually understand that this is the right solution for them. Like, not going to buy isn't a finite definition, right? Like, there is infinite amount of definitions of what not going to buy. So I think that in order for someone to say, like, I'm not going to waste time with people that aren't going to buy, like, you need to sift through objective realities, like context there, right? Because I think that too many people give themselves, or they lie to themselves, and this is my personal experience after having dealt with like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sales reps. And people will lie to themselves more often than not to make themselves feel better about what they couldn't achieve long term with a certain amount of clients, right? Well, that's my limited experience on planet Earth, but that's what I personally believe to be true. And the other thing to mention there too is that if you don't like the idea of doing all this stuff because it would make you feel like you're wasting time on people who aren't going to buy in the moment right now, that's completely fine. You will have the people who do take the responsibility of learning skills like this run rings around you long term, because they actually have built the skill of managing a pipeline for fucking years to build trust with people who definitely will never remember your name, but they'll remember theirs. And it's totally a responsibility at the end of the day, and you can elect to not consider doing that, and just focus on the like people who are ready today or this month or whatever it might be. But long term, the people I see the best are the ones that are, you know, like the tortoise in their hair, right?
Yeah.
Like the tortoise builds the pipeline, the tortoise like manages the pipeline, the tortoise builds trust, the tortoise does everything effectively because the tortoise knows that they're here long term and they're not going anywhere.
If folks want to connect with you, man, what's the best way for them to go about connecting?
I think that the best place is going to be probably just my personal Facebook, if I'm honest. It's you can search me, it's just Chris Morrison, but I think the actual like tag is like facebook.com/chris.m.96. And I like my personal Facebook profile is where I typically hang out the most, and I talk a lot of shit, but apparently it helps people, and I build trust with people, and then they want to work with me and become unicorn leads. So, I follow the process.
Hey, that was Chris Morrison. I love the idea. I love the principle. And as you heard, dude was just excited. And yes, that was 4:30 a.m. for him, but he came with that energy. And I promise you that he's one of those dudes that's going to bring a lot of value. If you want to connect with him and check out some of the cool things that he's offering, find the link down below in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to the description and find the details. On all of the podcast app, you'll see the notes there as well. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode. As always, I'm here because I want you to succeed and thrive. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. Thanks so much for watching.